Hello and welcome to the Gothic Unicorn. This week I'm taking some inspiration from these Love Heart sweeties, candy, and I'm going to make some slightly creepier Valentine's decorations. Valentine's Day is obviously associated with hearts, and so I've pulled out my paper punches. Now these, I've got 4 of them here, different sizes, that go from approximately 3/8 of an inch to 1 3/8 inches, approximately. I'm not sure exactly how you measure them, but that is sort of measuring them at the widest point. I was just trying to get a sort of rough idea, because I know people like to know what size of things that you're using. So I've got those because it does make life easier. You can print them on the computer and cut them out. You can cut them out freehand, whatever you want. But this just makes my life easier, and I own them already, so I'm going to use them. Now I'm going to be using recycled food packaging board, where I need something a little bit heavier duty. Anything will do. This is a bit of a cereal packet, but anything will do. And then this is some 160 GSM card. Now I buy this to go through my printer. It's obviously heavier duty than the paper that I use, but it's still really fairly light because my printer's not brilliant. But this is just great for when you need something that's a bit heavier than paper, but not quite the full card weight. Now, the first thing I'm going to make is a bit of a banner, and I'm going to use the 2 smallest of the punches that I showed you, and they are approximately 3/8 of an inch and 5/8 of an inch. It's just approximate, just gives you a kind of rough idea. And I'm punching arts out of the 160 GSM card that I also showed you. You will need 2 hearts for each section of the banner that you want to make. So for every one you want, you need to do 2. Once I had punched out all of my hearts, I gave them some colour, and I've coloured one side of each using an alcohol marker. I use the alcohol marker because it's what I've got, and no other reason. You don't need to go out and buy them. You can use anything. And then I added my details, and I used this Pigma archival ink pen, which gives a 0.3 millimetre line, which is pretty tiny. Again, it's just because it's one I happen to have and that I know works really, really well with the alcohol inks. And what I've done is, on what will be my fronts, I've added the details to go with my Love Hearts candy theme. To turn the hearts into a banner, I'm using some nylon thread. This is jewellery making thread or invisible mending thread, or you could even use a fine fishing line. It's just really good because it's invisible unless the light really catches it. So what I've done is I've cut a length, and I've put a knot which I put some glue on at one end, which is just so I've got a little loop. I made a little loop to hang it up. Now, to attach the pieces on, I've turned the backs so that the wrong side is facing me, and I'm just going to apply some glue. If I use my little metal tool here, I can position the glue all over, and hopefully the thread in the right place. And then what you do is you put your invisible thread over your glued heart, and then the second one, its matching pair, you put right side up on top. Now all that I have to do is I just have to pick that up and just make sure that they do actually match up. and as you can see I get a bit of a banner forming. I stuck the remaining hearts to the thread, and before I trimmed the thread down to a more suitable length, I made a loop and knotted the end of that, and I've put a bit of glue on there as well just to make sure that it doesn't come undone. That's just so I've got something to hang it from should I require to. But that is how to make a simple heart banner which can be personalised in any way that you'd like. The next piece I'm going to make is going to be a hanging decoration. This is something that you could use as a wreath, but you could equally just hang it from a ceiling or a doorway or something, just to add a little bit of Valentine's flair. Before I start on that bit, I've made myself a bit of a jig. Now what I've done here is I've taken several pieces that I punched out with my largest heart-shaped punch, and I've stacked them up. I glued them all together, and then I glued them to a scrap bit of card. Now I've also covered them in some tape. The tape is just so that the bit that I'm trying to do doesn't stick to it. I am going to try and stick it. I would rather it was stuck with glue rather than just twisted together or anything like that. And I'm going to use some of a chenille stick, a red pipe cleaner. Use any colour you want. I've gone with red because I think that my family would go more for a red rather than a pink theme for Valentine's Day. So the next step is to bend this around my form. So what I've done is I've trimmed this down now to approximately the right length, and I have started to shape it around here, and I am going to put some glue on this side and hold it into shape. To finish this piece off, I have just added one of my little cardboard candy replicas, and I have attached a piece of embroidery thread to the top middle of the heart, to the little dippy bit. It's probably got a proper name, but I don't know what it is, so that this can be hung up or indeed used over a door as a wreath. Next I'm going to be making a balloon. It's not really a balloon, but it will do as a balloon substitute. And to do this I'm using ordinary kitchen foil, and I have punched out 2 hearts, the biggest size punch that I'd got, which was that one there, and they are going to be the front and back. Now I've left the back just silver because it is not unusual for a balloon of this type to only have decorations on one side, and then the other one I have coloured using my alcohol inks. I actually did this almost 24 hours ago because I wanted to make sure that it was dry, and I will be being careful with it because obviously the alcohol inks don't always dry properly on metallic surfaces. And I'm also going to use a piece of foil, it's far longer than I actually need, which I have folded in 2 places, so I've got like a channel. And the idea is then I've got a piece to glue on both sides, and then I'm going to have a bit to go in the middle. And that is where I'm going to start, is with gluing this to my front piece. I have now glued the front, my decorated side, to the actual sides, and I now need to leave this to dry. Now it's probably going to need to dry at least overnight, because I actually want the glue to cure, and it cures slower on the foil. I would recommend that you actually try gluing 2 pieces of foil together with whichever glue you're going to use, just to see how quickly it cures and whether it actually glues at all. So I'm going to put this aside now, and I will come back and I will finish this off in a while, but it won't be a while for you obviously. But yes, there is the beginnings of my fake balloon. So the glue has well and truly dried on my fake balloon, and I'm almost ready to finish the piece. Now I'm going to add a string. Now for that I'm using some jewellery wire. It's just some fine silver jewellery wire. I wanted something that would look kind of like ribbon, and I decided that this was my best bet because it will actually at least stand up under its own strength. And I'm going to put some glue on this loop that I formed at one end, and I'm going to put that inside of my balloon. Use another cocktail stick here just to push it down. And of course it doesn't want to lie down properly, but let me get my finger in. There we go. And then that will, once it's stuck into place, that will actually allow me to display it as a balloon. Now I'm going to put some scraps of foil inside just to fill it out a little bit, and then I'm going to glue this piece onto the back. To finish my balloon, I pushed the foil down around the wire to make it look like it would be on a proper balloon, and I'm quite pleased with how it's come out. It's not perfect, but for what I want, for a little decorative piece to be displayed for a short period of time, I'm quite pleased with it. The next piece I'm going to make is a freestanding decoration. It's actually based off of a real life piece that I made, and the bulk of it is made out of the recycled food packaging, and I'm using these 3 punches. The only one I'm not using is the biggest one. So I've got 3 of my largest one, 2 of my medium one, and then 2 of my small one. And then I've also got 3 bats that are die cut from the 160 GSM card. They're die cut because I happen to have a die for that shape. Otherwise I could have cut them out by hand, or I would have used a punch if I had one. The first stage is to glue things together, and I am going to glue these 3 here together on top of each other. I am then going to glue those 4 there together, and I'm going to glue the bats together, and that is going to be my first stage. Now that the first lot of gluing is dry, I am going to stick the 2 heart piles together back to back, and I'm just going to cover the piece here with glue, and then stick it onto that one, and just sort of make sure that it all lines up. And then what I'm going to do is get one of my clothes pegs and hold that in place, and let that dry too. Once the glue was dry on the heart, I gave it some red paint. I've also made a little base for it to stand on, and I have coloured the bat black, and I've written a little motto, that's the word, a little motto on it, so it looks like it could be a gift maybe. Now I'm going to glue this onto the base like so, and I'm just going to add some glue over here. I'm going to put a bit of glue on the bottom of there, and then that is going to get stuck to the base where I made a bit of a indentation before I painted it, just in case I made the indentation too big. And then those are going to stick together, so we have that piece like that. And then the final touch for this is going to be to attach the bat onto the heart. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the back of the bat, decide where I want it to go and put it there, and then I will in a moment clear the excess glue off this piece, and then I'm going to let it dry. And here we have the finished little Batty About You heart. The actual piece I based this on was a properly three-dimensional heart, but this is enough for the scale that I'm doing it at, that it's got some depth to it, and I'm quite pleased with it. It's a little bit different. I'm not going to show you step by step how to make this last piece, because I did a video on making quite a similar kind of Christmas tree, and I'll put a link to that in the description box. But this is a little Valentine's tree made out of a cocktail stick, some recycled packaging circles at the bottom, and some red chenille sticks, sometimes called pipe cleaners. And then all I've done is I have decorated it with a little art on the top, another one of my kind of creepier love hearts. And then there's just some regular punched hearts and some little outline arts that I made using a little pattern that I made by gluing together all the bits that I punched these other ones out of, because they were all punched out of the white and then coloured black. But I think that's going to be quite an effective piece in my room. And here we have it, my doll's house living room decorated for Valentine's Day with a suitably spooky twist. Please like, comment and subscribe, and join me next time for more. Until then, bye.